This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Thursday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are doing well, having a great rest of your week. We're going to have a huge show today, a lot to get into today, a lot to talk about today, and we're going to have a lot of fun with our friends Theo Fernandez and Katie Windham. We want to thank Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program. Call Derek for all your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. Call and see how much he can save you today. And, of course, our friends at Purple Turtle Roofing sponsor the program as well. You can check them out online at roofturtle.com for all of their products and services, homes or commercial businesses. They can take care of whatever roof you've got going on, metal or shingle. They'll come out and give you a free roof inspection today. So give them a call, 877-787-6635, or check them out online at roofturtle.com. We're going to have a lot of fun with Katie Windham and Theo Fernandez. We're going to talk about Alabama in the College World Series. The Women's College World Series gets started today out in Oklahoma City, and Katie is out there, so we will lead off with that. We'll transition into Amari Allen's draft decision. He is coming back to Tuscaloosa, and so that is good news for the Alabama basketball fans. And we'll talk about kickoff times a little bit later as well, and some people who are upset with kickoff times. So that's going to be kind of the game plan for the day. I cannot wait to get into it with our friends Theo. Follow him at Theo Fernandez _, and Katie Windham at Katie Windham _ on the Twitter machine. Katie Windham, good morning. How was your travels? Thank you for joining us. And are you excited about the day?
Good morning. It wasn't too bad. A couple of delays yesterday, but nothing too bad. And still was able to make connecting flight. Got into Oklahoma City a little after midnight. I hope everyone's enjoying the mood lighting of this hotel room with no overhead light. It just is what it is. I probably should have put my contacts in so there at least wouldn't be the reflection off the screen. But I'm good. I'm excited. It's game day in Oklahoma City. The first pitch for the whole tournament will be in less than 2 hours with Mississippi State and Texas Tech, which I'm interested to watch. And then Alabama plays later tonight. So I'll have a story coming out in a little bit about some of Alabama's keys to beating UCLA, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. And then, I'm excited to get into all of it.
Sounds great. Theo, good morning. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm jealous of you, Katie, getting to be in Oklahoma City. Obviously the softball, but then you might get to watch a Thunder Spurs Game 7. I'm sure you are planning on buying a ticket to go watch that happen if it does. I would love to be in OKC for a playoff game, but that'll be a fun trip. Oklahoma's really high on my bucket list of places I have wanted to go. I know you've gone a couple times now with Alabama always making it.
Yeah, it's actually got, I'd say, like a better – it's a fun city, and it's got a pretty good food scene. It's just this is now my 6th time here in the last 5 years, so like a little switch-up variety, but that's never going to happen with college softball. So, and Alabama is here most years than not. It is kind of crazy. This is the 4th time in 6 seasons of covering Alabama softball that they've made it to the Women's College World Series, which obviously most programs can't say that. So,
well, let's get right into it then. You're out at the World Series, and Alabama's taking on UCLA at 6:00 tonight on ESPN2. No, Big Boy ESPN, on regular ESPN, excuse me. I think the early games are on ESPN2. So, Katie, what's Alabama going to run into with the Bruins tonight?
Now you have me questioning because it was ESPN2, but then the ESPN app is showing ESPN now.
Yeah, I thought it was ESPN2 earlier.
That's what it has been, because I had people complaining to me that it was ESPN2 and not ESPN, as if that's really a difference. Like, because if you have cable and you have ESPN, you have ESPN2. But it does say ESPN on the app, so I may need to go change the how to watch story. Sorry,
what was it? On Roll Tide. That's why I was getting fumbled up. I saw it change on Roll or update on Roll Tide.
Okay, well then I need to go change that. Sorry, I'm going to change that and then re-ask your question.
All right, sounds good. Go change your story. They are playing on ESPN. So earlier in the week, it looked like they were broadcast on ESPN2, the evening games. But it looks like there has been some schedule adjustments, and Alabama and all the evening games will be on Big Boy ESPN. Theo, as Katie is updating her article.
I'm good.
All right, perfect. Katie, then, what are we going to see with UCLA?
They are the best offense in the country. If you want to look at statistics, if you just want to do the eye test, whatever it is, they've set this college softball record with 200 home runs this season. They have, it was coming into this year, I think it was 36 was the single season home run record. And then 3 people around the country beat it. Kendall Wells at Oklahoma, and then Jordan Woolery and I think Megan Grant, or both of them, I think, beat it at UCLA. They just have insane power. Murph's kind of go-to line has been that it's Murder's Row, it's the Yankees, it's the Bronx Bombers. You can't walk anyone. It's kind of funny if you go watch like any clip of him this week, like our video on Bama Central, the video he did with TV people at the airport. So if you go check out like UA's official video, his press conference yesterday in Oklahoma City, which I wasn't here for, he kind of has his go-to lines about you can't just walk one girl because the next girl up could hit a home run. They have, when I was going through their stats yesterday, I think they have at least 4 girls that have hit 20 plus home runs. For reference, Alabama has 1. Just to kind of put their home run numbers in perspective, Alabama is 11th in the country in home run totals with 97, and that's not even half of what UCLA has. Like, it is just what they're doing is not normal. They just have a ton of home run power, and so that's what they are. But if you're an Alabama fan, you're hoping to not see that tonight. And I think it's definitely possible because I feel fairly confident that Jocelyn Brisky will get the start. And I don't know how I had forgotten about this all week leading up to this game until I was doing the how to watch and looking at past matchups. I think it's because the 2021 matchup with UCLA stands out so much. 2024, they also played them in the first game of the World Series. But the 2 teams met last year, and Jocelyn Brisky pitched she pitched I think 5 1/3. The first 5 innings, she shut UCLA down and then kind of ran into a lot of trouble in the 6th inning, gave up 6 runs against a lot of those same people that are on this team. She's a much improved pitcher, but she did shut them down for a while. And then last year's team, which was something else I'd forgotten about until Murph brought it up at a press conference last year, there was probably 10 plus games last year that they blew the game in the 6th or 7th inning. And that was one of them early in the year against UCLA and Clearwater. So she has faced this Bruins lineup before, some of the players. And she's much improved from a year ago. That's obviously been one of Alabama's big storylines this year. So if you're an Alabama fan, you're hoping she shuts them down. And she said when we talked to her at the airport on Tuesday, we know we'll give up runs, but we know our offense can score runs. And so, but just with how good she's been, she's not given up a lot of runs. And I think the good thing about going against an offense as good as UCLA's is they do not have a lot of pitching. They basically have one arm that they've relied very heavily on. And in this age of college softball, it just doesn't work that way anymore. I believe her name is Taylor Tinsley. I don't know why I'm fully blanking right now, but she's their ERA leader, and she's still above 3. For comparison's sake, for Alabama, who has one of the best pitching staffs in the nation, they have 3 pitchers from the ERA of the 1s range, and their best is over 3. I know in baseball that's pretty good, and it's not terrible in softball, but at the World Series level, most teams are going to have an ace ERA below 2, or at least in the 2s range. And so UCLA's pitchers are very gettable, especially if they get to their leader, and then UCLA will probably pull her to preserve her for elimination games. And so I think really it's going to be important for the offense to try and jump on her and give Brisky some run support in case she does give up some runs against this powerful UCLA offense.
Yeah, so we're hanging out with Katie Windham, and Alabama is taking on UCLA at 6 o'clock on ESPN. What is your concern then with Jocelyn Brisky with this dangerous lineup? And subsequently, maybe the flip side, do you think she's prepared to deal with such a dangerous lineup because of the week in and week out grind of the SEC? Obviously not the same power because they're at 200 home runs. What in the world? But, gives you a week in and week out. You've got to pitch carefully and pitch effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some concern, but also if you're an Alabama fan, there should be a lot of confidence just because she has been so good this year. Really, the only team all year that's hit her hard has been Texas. And Alabama's faced other good offenses, like you said, obviously not as good as UCLA, but I think you should be pretty confident in her. And I think if you go watch the interview we did with her on Tuesday before they left for Oklahoma City, I think she sounded pretty confident. You can go check it out on the Bama Central YouTube or Facebook page. But I think the concern would be if she does get hit pretty hard. Her and Murph have talked about Clearly, that's another one of his lines for this week, for this game, is that she can't give up crooked numbers in an inning. It's okay if you give up a solo shot, but you don't want to give up free passes, which she's been really good at, and then have somebody else come up, and then it's a 2-run home run. Or the defense has to be solid, because then if you have an error and then one of their big sluggers comes up, well, then it's a 3-run home run. So one of their big keys is they want to keep it into single-digit innings. And so that way they have a chance to respond. Once you start giving up, like they did last year, 6 runs in an inning, or even 4 or 5 runs in an inning, you're starting to enter into dangerous territory that's putting a lot of pressure on your offense to respond. And so I think that would be the concern, but that's not really been her way this year. And the SEC has been a really good test, and even some of the people they faced in the non-conference. And I think Brisky mentally has been so strong this year. Physically, she's been so strong that I think there's like kind of an adage in softball, and I feel like baseball, maybe good pitching beats good hitting. And so I think if you're an Alabama fan, you should feel good that you have the good pitching in this matchup.
Well, so on that note, I looked it up, and Kennedy, the Texas Tech pitcher, I'm saying 520 pitches that she threw during last year's Women's College World Series. Do you expect Brisky, like, at what point does Brisky fully take over and start throwing every day, or do you keep Moten in the rotation? Like, what does that look like for Alabama?
I think they'll definitely keep using Moten, especially if you're in a winner's bracket scenario. I think if you lose tonight and then you're facing elimination right away on Friday, I think you might start Brisky again, depending on the matchup. But I think they're definitely planning on using Moten. I think it's just going to be the two of them starting. I think maybe you could see relief appearances from others, but it's not likely. I think it will be those two arms pretty much the whole way through the Women's College World Series. I think this is looking far ahead to next week, but say they do make it to the Champ Series, I think for sure, because that's best 2 out of 3. I think the plan would be to start Brisky game 1, Moten game 2. Unless, like I said, I think anytime you're facing elimination, anything can happen. They're going to put out whatever's going to give them the best chance to win. But it's not like they're going to have to rely on one arm like Texas did with Kennedy. And they have another arm this year, UCLA transfer Caitlin Terry. But so they don't have to rely on her as much anymore either. But that's not going to be the case for Alabama, where they're just having to heavily rely on Brisky. I think who's always going to give you the best chance to win. She was named D1 Softball Pitcher of the Year. A lot of people hold her in high regard, and it's almost like she's kind of done it under the radar. I don't know if it's because it's kind of weird. Alabama's the number 1 overall seed. She's been one of the best pitchers in the country, and it's still almost like they're just in some ways still under the radar. And I'm not sure that it is, because it's a program that generally gets a lot of attention, but I think she will be who they go to if their back's up against the wall, but I think for sure they're definitely going to be counting on Big Moten to give them some good innings out here in Oklahoma as well.
Katie, Alabama is one of 5 SEC teams in the field, and as you just mentioned, the number 1 overall seed. Is there an advantage to seeing 4 other teams in your conference out there so you're familiar with them? Do you think that creates any sort of, hard to beat, the old adage, hard to beat a team 3 times or hard to beat a team multiple times in a season? And kind of building off of that, who is Alabama's most dangerous opponent in this 8-team field?
I think in some ways it's good to have SEC teams because it gives you that familiarity, and you've beat all of them. The ones you've played, you've at least beat, but they have not played Mississippi State this year. They did play Arkansas, Tennessee, and Texas. But Tennessee and Texas, there's 2 teams, the only 2 teams all year to beat Alabama multiple times. So obviously that's kind of a concern. And in some ways you could look at it as Tennessee. Okay, that's the only team that beat us in the regular season series. Like, let's get revenge. But I think going back to the saying of good pitching beats good hitting, Tennessee is 1 in the ERA and Alabama's 2. Tennessee is the other team that can match Alabama's pitching. They probably are even a little bit deeper. They can go 3 deep with Carlin Pickens, Sage Marcheco, and Aaron Newer. So I think that is a matchup you do not want to see in Oklahoma City, especially in an elimination game. I think that would be very high stress for Alabama. And I think the only way they would meet is either in an elimination game or in the Champ Series, because the way the bracket is, it gets very confusing, because if you lose, then it flips, and it's not very like, and the double elimination, it's not very like linear. So I think you don't really want to see that. Texas, like I said, is basically the only team that has hit Brisky hard, but then like you did beat them twice. They've been beatable. That's the thing about this field is everyone's beatable. So, I think it's good for Alabama that in this first game, it's not an SEC team. Arkansas, you beat 3 times. So, like, I think it would be you beat them twice in the regular season and in the SEC tournament. I think they definitely want to beat Alabama. So I think that would not be the most ideal matchup for the Crimson Tide either. I think Mississippi State would probably be a pretty good matchup. They're kind of the underdogs being here. But they had a great quote from their pitcher after they beat Oklahoma that said, like, an underdog's still a dog. She just said that off the dome in her post-game interview with the ESPN. I thought that was a great line. But I think that would be a pretty favorable matchup for Alabama. I don't really see a world in which that happens. But who knows? I mean, they've been on kind of a run, so maybe they could beat Texas Tech today. As far as who their biggest competition is out here, I would say probably Tennessee and Texas, and then Nebraska with Jordy Fromm, previously Jordy Ball before she got married, used to be the pitcher at Oklahoma, went back to her hometown team, has them back in the World Series this year for the first time in a while, I believe. So, and she can hit too. She was named National Player of the Year. They have a pretty deep roster, a good offense. So, anyone, as Murph has said a lot, anyone can beat anyone. And I think this World Series is going to kind of show that. And it's kind of like, why not Alabama? They've been so consistent all year. They're number one. This team has good vibes, and that sounds kind of woo-woo sometimes, but also, like, I think it is a big part of championship teams that enjoy being around each other and that are competitive and don't want to lose for the person next to them. And so I think this team has that. And so should be a fun anywhere from 2 days to 10 days out here in Oklahoma City. Probably not very fun. It's only 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can beat anyone, it's like you look at that in 2 to 10 days. If Alabama is going to have a short run in Oklahoma City, what's going to be the reason for that? What's going to be the downfall of this team?
I think it would be just the offense kind of can't get going on the big stage. I wrote about, and I feel bad because, like, I don't want to, like, feel like I'm, like, harping on her, but then also I think, like, if this was a men's sport, like, everyone would be talking about it. Like, Brooke Wells, she's been your best hitter all year long. She's not been good in the NCAA tournament. I think she's 2 for 18, didn't have a hit against LSU and struck out 5 times, 2 games, not ideal. I think Bailey Hemphill, who she's kind of been compared to, I think struck out like 6 times in a whole season, which is, like, extremely abnormal, and it was her senior year. She wasn't at that level her sophomore year, and Brooks only sophomore. But she's been striking out a lot lately, which is not what you want from your number 2 hitter, from your best hitter on the team. And so I think if she kind of stays in a bad headspace and can't get going, which I don't expect, but if the offense, if some of these freshmen, there's a lot of freshmen in the lineup, if they get nervous on the big stage, if they can't perform, then I think maybe you're in a little trouble. I think it would be more the offense not stepping up than the pitching. It's hard for me to picture a world like there's some guy that commented on the Bama Central Facebook page on 2 different posts after they beat LSU that UCLA will run rule them today. A lot of fans were getting on him in the Facebook comments. But I was just thinking about, like, how unlikely that would be, because that would mean at a minimum the pitching staff would have to give up 8 runs, which I think they've done maybe twice this whole year, giving up more than 8 runs. And I think it was Arkansas and Texas. And then and I don't know that for sure. I have to go back and check. And then it would either mean that, like, the offense scores 0 runs and it's 8-0, which they haven't gotten shut out all year, or they got shut out one time against Tennessee, or, like, they barely score. And neither of those things have happened a lot for this team. So do I foresee run rule? No. It's hard for me to picture a world where the pitching just collapses. I think it'll be, if they go 0-2, I think it'll be the offense not stepping up and maybe just some unfortunate circumstances where things don't bounce your way, or if you lose today and just like a dogfight with UCLA, and then you do have to face a team with really good pitching in the elimination game, and it's just not a good matchup. I think that would kind of be how Alabama ended up in that unfortunate spot.
Let's address some of these comments. We got a couple comments here as we're hanging out on a Thursday with Katie Windham setting up the Women's College World Series. Jeremy Scott, appreciate you watching. Leaves us the roll tide with the baseball emojis. I appreciate that. I'll hit that Everett's question for Katie last. That seems like a really good ender here. But Theo, if Alabama wins the national championship, will you send your cup to Mr. Everett Osmer? He says he apologizes, but he really wants it.
This water bottle, Everett, I don't know if you can see. This thing is destroyed. I keep dropping it. It's a horrible water bottle. This is what you want? I mean, all you if you want. I know Joe owes you a cup if Alabama football wins the title. We'll make sure you always have something to drink water out of every. We'll supply you as long as Alabama wins something.
There we go. The next question from Everett is really kind of a season ender question. So, Theo, do you have anything else about specifically the College World Series, what we're getting into this weekend before hopefully we can have Katie on as the week continues next week? Well, we're not doing shows next week, so we will not have Katie on next week. You have anything else for her for the rest of the Women's College World Series, a player or team that's dangerous out there, or any other storyline you want to talk about?
No, I feel like I'm prepped. I feel like I'm ready to sit down and watch this game later today.
I'm
nervous
now.
Right?
I'm nervous now to face UCLA and the Bronx Bombers.
Kind of reminiscent, to draw the quick parallel, of Alabama with Oklahoma State baseball regional, right? Another team that just hits way more homers than just about everyone else. So, bit of same storylines for baseball and softball right now.
I'm going to leave all my Yankees gear in the closet, so it doesn't seem like I'm supporting a big old home run hitting team. Katie, Everett Osmer says, what do you think is the most difficult decisions? Who do you think will be the most difficult decisions after softball, as in players coming back? I see it's obviously difficult to predict with the transfer portal, but kind of how do you see this roster staying together into next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the postseason run could potentially affect some players. I think, like, if you win a national championship, it's going to be harder to leave the school, even though in the portal era, like, never say never. Like, you really do not know what people are going to do. But somebody was asking me this last week during Supers about, like, which player do you think will transfer? And I was like, honestly, like, this may be like rose-colored glasses, but it's hard for me to see it because you have 7 seniors you're losing, and there's no, like, thankfully we're in the post-COVID era that there's no longer the, like, wait, does this person have a COVID year? How many? Like, it's like 4 and done. Like, unless you got hurt, like, you had your 4 years, thank you, goodbye. Like, it makes it a lot easier to figure out the roster. So you have 7 seniors moving on, and then you have a lot coming back. Your whole infield's coming back. Most of your outfield's coming back outside of Kristen White. And Larissa Pruitt backing up. You have a bunch of people on the bench. I think so. The starters, I don't think any of them obviously would leave. Maybe if there's a program out there that's going to offer them big money. The thing is, in softball, there's not that many programs that are offering big money besides Texas Tech and maybe Oklahoma. So I did have the thought the other day. I was like, oh, what if, like, somebody tries to give Brisky a lot of money? But her sister is coming in this year. Her sister is in the signing class. So I don't foresee that happening. If anyone else has had that same concern of, oh, what if she's so good and then somebody who just really wants a good pitcher pays her? I don't think she's going to leave when her sister's coming in. And I think she loves this program. But loving the program does not necessarily mean anything to stay in college sports. So, yeah, I really don't like. There's some of the younger players, like, that haven't played a ton that maybe they could transfer to try and find somewhere else to play more. But I don't really actually see anyone from this roster entering the portal unless just somebody really wants to pay them a lot of money. But there's not as much of that. Well, there's some, but not as much.
Well, building off that and spinning it back to you real quick, hasn't Coach Murphy just talked about how close this team, and every coach does. The coaches always go, oh, so together. But it seems like more this year, and it seems more genuine this season that Coach Murphy is talking about the togetherness on this roster, and you hear it from the ladies as well. And so just get your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. He definitely has talked about it more than normal, and it seems more genuine. Because, yes, coaches say stuff like that a lot, but the team brings it up a lot. Now, just being a girl, I'm sure there's some girls that aren't as close with everyone. Like, there's always going to be people on the outside a little bit, and that I think could affect some people's transfer decisions. But on the whole, it does seem like this is a close team. And like I said earlier, if this is a team that wins a national title and they're close, that's something that bonds people a lot, that it's hard to, picture somebody moving on after that. But I don't. Like I said, it's hard to know for sure in this day of college sports, but I don't think there would be more than 1 or 2 that would transfer, and I'm not even really expecting that.
All right, so let's finish up right here, Katie, with a question from Jeremy Scott. Last week, the SEC put in ABS for the baseball tournament, the conference tournament. Do you think, his question is, do you think they'll eventually use ABS in softball?
Probably not. It takes them forever to get stuff in softball just because of to make it even across everywhere. It's just not every school has the same resources. It took them forever to get the safety base implemented in the sport. Literally, basically the whole time I covered, Murphy always was what's the word? I'm not he was always rallying for the safety base, and just was never. And they do have it now. Replay, I don't think it's nationwide. The SEC will do replay, but it's kind of up to the discretion of the school. So I don't really. I mean, maybe they'll do it in postseason, but I don't. I think it would be great. A lot of fans are calling for it. The strike zones in softball have gotten very small. That's part of the reason why people theorize that the home run numbers are up so much, is because the pitchers basically have to throw it over the plate to get a strike call, and so that obviously leads to more home runs. But I don't see that happening in softball anytime soon.
Well, Katie, thanks so much for hanging out with us today, giving us your expertise and preparing us for tonight's Women's College World Series game. Why don't you tell the people, I mean, we've already told them, but tell the people where they can find you and how they can follow your coverage. You're going to be setting up some live updates and getting over to the stadium pretty soon.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at Katie Windham _. Follow Bama Central on all social medias. We'll have stuff on Facebook, Twitter. We'll post videos up on YouTube. They have been I feel like maybe I just wasn't reading the media notes as closely in the past, but they seem to be pretty strict this year on what videos. They basically don't want us to take any videos in the stadium at all, not even of the field not the field while the game's going on. So, but we will have some videos. We'll have the post-game press conferences and things like that, and updates, weather updates. You never know in Oklahoma City when a thunderstorm just rolls in out of nowhere. So we will have you updated with all that. So be sure to follow along.
She's Katie Windham, and do everything she just said. Follow her right there at Katie Windham _ and follow us at BamaCentral.com as she covers the Women's College World Series tonight in Oklahoma City. Thanks so much, Katie. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. That's Katie joining us, Theo. How you feeling? Alabama, UCLA, 6 p.m. tonight.
Well, I'm certainly a lot more excited to watch the game than I was before this show, right? I mean, man, that home run number is crazy.
200.
11th, and they have more than twice as many. Get out of here. I mean, that's got to be some pressure on Brisky now.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun night. So I hope you keep up with us at BamaCentral.com for all of the action on all the coverage. All right, Theo, let's transition a little bit. Let me read my little notes here, what I wrote down. You want to move into kickoff times, Alabama kickoff times. We got Alabama kickoff times. You got the Arkansas coach athletic director complaining about kickoff times. You got Amari Allen has decided to come back to school. Chaz Coleman not showing up at Tennessee. The end of Cupcake Weekend. I mean, we got blessed with a content dump yesterday of a lot of things. So we don't need to burn it all today. We can talk about a lot of these things tomorrow. You want to start with Amari Allen because that's the most newsworthy, and we've talked about Amari a lot in the last couple of weeks. Amari Allen decides to come back to Alabama.
I would have been really, really surprised by this a month ago, Joe. I'm not going to lie. And then the combine, like we've said before, the combine really just changed everything. I mean, as soon as I saw that measurement come in, I think everyone kind of came to the consensus right away that, oh, yeah, this is a guy who will be coming back. And you saw Jeff Goodman's anonymous poll of NBA executives. All 10 of them said he should return to school. It makes all the sense in the world. I mean, honestly, NBA, so last year, the number 30 pick in the NBA draft made about $2.9 million as a rookie. Amari's going to surpass that number this year, or come really close to it when you account for all of the endorsements and all the opportunities he'll have to make money in Tuscaloosa. You'll come pretty close to that salary in 1 year in college, and then I believe be in position to double your rookie salary in a year with what you do at Alabama. I mean, the blueprint is pretty clear for what Amari needs to show. You look at LeBaron Philon returning. after his freshman season, where he would have been drafted in what I believe to be a pretty similar position to where Allen would have. And then LeBaron returns with a mission, with set things to work on from the NBA, executes them. Congratulations, you're a lottery pick. There is no reason in the world that Amari Allen can't do the same exact thing, especially when accounting for, it's always hard to forecast classes a year out, but it really does seem like this 27 class is a half step back from this absolutely loaded class this year. So Allen, like the ceiling for Allen is absolutely top 10, top 7. He can go really high. He's shown all the things that he can do already. And then if you add consistent play, showing that you can be a quality 2-guard in the NBA, showing that, yes, I can be a lead ball handler for a team, I can lead a second unit, all that stuff that they want to see out of you, ceiling is very high for Allen.
Yeah, I think this is really, really, really beneficial to the Alabama basketball program. I mean, it's going to benefit Amari Allen as well. I mean, it's going to be mutually beneficial. But with the circumstances, with the roster sitting where it is for Alabama, not a bad place, but ball handling was just a small little bit of a question mark. You don't really know, obviously, still not really sure what's going to happen with Aiden Holloway. And so with that being a little bit of a question mark, it is huge to get Amari Allen back in Tuscaloosa. And you, just as you said, Theo, you give him a larger role and you see what he can make out of it. See if he can prove himself to the NBA scouts and to really everybody in the basketball world that he can be a good 2, probably a great 3, could be. I think it's obviously going to be an undersized 3, and so that's what people are, a little having some reservations about. And so, yeah, I think this is a no-brainer decision. I don't think that, what'd you say, $2.9 million for the 30th pick? Yeah. I don't think that he's going to make 2.9 here in Tuscaloosa, but I do think he's going to make 1.4, 1.5, and when you consider it's how many fewer games, it's going to be like 50 fewer games and a lot less travel. I think it's okay to be foregoing $1.5 million to try to make it up on the next year. And I agree with you. I think that if he can get himself into the lottery, then it's going to be a very, very smart decision for Amari Allen. And so I think it's a good decision for Amari. I think it's a great decision, a great development for Alabama basketball. And I think it keeps the ceiling or keeps the floor pretty high here in Tuscaloosa for the 2026-27 season.
Yeah, the more I've thought about it, the more I was kind of the position like, oh, wow, Alabama is in some serious, serious trouble if Amari Allen doesn't return. I like this roster that Nate Oates has developed. I think he's done a great job of bringing in ensemble pieces to support the core of the team. Yep. But Amari Allen, look, Aiden Holloway is still a situation that we can't say much on, but I think a lot of people have come to the expectation that maybe he won't be playing basketball for the Crimson Tide. We don't know for sure right now, but that is a very real possibility. Well, Amari Allen, your job is going to be massive for this team. When I look at this roster, and I've talked before about how it has a bit of an NBA feel. It has a bit of this, okay, Nate Oates is going to go in and just accumulate a bunch of next level wings, and you're 6'7" and athletic, and you can play the kind of defense I want, and you can get anywhere on the court. We want you on this team, and we're going to plug enough of you guys together, and it's going to turn into an entertaining and capable basketball product. And you look even at an addition like Fielder at the Boise State transfer, who, you know how tall he is, Joe? What is he, 6'10"?
Yes, I think he is 6'10". Let me find out. Drew Fielder.
6'10" sounds about right, but he's 6'10" that.
Yeah, he's listed at 6'11", 6'10", depends on where you want to look at it. So he's probably 6'9" and 3/4.
Like, that's a big that I really like. That's a big that absolutely fits the archetype of this team. But you see it all the time, right? You see like half-court offense, I think, is going to be a problem for this team, regardless of Holloway coming back even. Like, I still think you're a little bit thin, but without Holloway, it is a big, big, big problem. What's going to happen when you're in Knoxville and you need a bucket in the final seconds? You look at LeBaron Fallon, yeah, I'm going to take that. I know I'm going to score there. They're going to throw a big guy on me. Like, that was one of the signature moments from that season, what LeBaron was able to do in that moment, because it emphasized, like, okay, yes, Alabama is not a very set offense. Alabama is very free-flowing. But then all of a sudden, here's Fallon reminding everyone that, yes, we're capable of playing this kind of basketball. We're capable of, oh, you need a bucket right now? I'm going to get you that bucket. That's going to be a big, big problem for this team, for Alabama this season. And a lot of it's hard to answer what the solution will be, but so much of it boils down to what can you do as a lead guard, Amari Allen? And so much of it will simply come down to his ability to settle into this role.
Yeah, 1,000%. And so I think it's the best development Alabama basketball could have asked for, and Amari Allen's going to have every opportunity to work himself from 30 into 12, 13, 14. All right, let's keep it going here. Before we transition to football fully, we want to tell everybody about our friends at Purple Turtle Roofing. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You can check us out online at roofturtle.com or call us if you want to talk to somebody at 877-PT-ROOF-5. That's 877-787-6635. You can call or visit us online and schedule your free roof inspection. One of our great team members will come out, get on your roof, and check it out, whether it's a metal roof or a shingle roof. It doesn't really matter what kind of roof, residential or commercial. They'll come take care of you, giving you the peace of mind that you deserve in your home. Check them out online today at roofturtle.com. That's Purple Turtle Roofing. Roofing with heart, built to last. All right, Theo, we're on the back end of a fun Thursday, exciting day as Alabama's opening up the Women's College World Series at 6 o'clock tonight against UCLA. But yesterday, midday, the conference, as part of, the SEC Never Sleeping, announces the first 3 weeks of football kickoff times. And we already knew Alabama and Eastern Carolina was going to be at 11 a.m. I think that was announced a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. So for Alabama, you were looking at kickoff times for weeks 2 and 3. Week 2 at Kentucky, week 3 home against Florida State. And so Alabama is going to be playing at 11 a.m. against East Carolina, 2:30 and 2:30 against Kentucky and Florida State, all 3 games on Big Boy ABC. Theo, does this do anything for you besides let you know what we're going to be doing on that Saturday?
No, and there should be no reason for any real reactions to those announcements. That's right?
No, I am completely agreeing with you. We wrote it for BamaCentral.com, and everybody and their mother wrote it for their respective websites. But I thought to myself, I ain't worried about these kickoff times in May. I'm sorry. I couldn't care less about what times we're kicking off. I'll worry about it once we get to August. Oh, what time am I going to be working on Saturday? Oh, 11? All right, that's fine. Oh, 2:30? All right, that's fine. It doesn't move me. I know the SEC is trying to just trickle you with information, doing the NFL thing where you always stay in the news. I understand that. I get that. But the news was what? 10 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago, 15 weeks ago, when you announced the opponents and the week, and you gave the weeks and the dates. And once the weeks and dates and opponents are set, you could schedule the game at 11 a.m. or 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. I'll figure it out. It don't matter.
Yeah, really I was kind of waiting on the Florida State announcement just because LSU Ole Miss is that week. So I was just really, really hoping that got to make sure Alabama's not playing at the same time as LSU Ole Miss because I need to go watch that game. And LSU Ole Miss was obviously announced as a night game yesterday. So that works out perfectly for everyone and making sure you get to watch the football you want to. Right?
I'll be praying for everyone's safety at the LSU Ole Miss game because I think that's going to be a heightened affair, a heightened and emotional affair.
National Guard has to be on standby. I mean, that'll be crazy.
That sounds hyperbolic, but I don't think it is, honestly. So on the scheduling note, Greg Sankey has killed Cupcake. Well done, Greg Sankey. He has killed Cupcake Weekend. The week before the Iron Bowl, the week before your respective rivalry game, you can talk good old-fashioned hate, whatever rivalry game that you are into. We're into the Iron Bowl over here. The week before the Iron Bowl will no longer be Cupcake Weekend. Theo, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because we got to get healthy before we play our rival.
Yeah, I am not a fan of this move. I legitimately... you got to get healthy before you play the rival. And I know people like to laugh at that sentiment sometimes, but is it not true? Would Alabama have benefited by playing another power conference game while Ty Simpson was, laying around trying to get soup down his system, heading into the Auburn? No. Alabama, you need that bye game. Look, I think Cupcake Week is
horrible.
I'm sorry?
It's horrible.
You're a fan of moving it or no?
We should. If you're a Power 4 program with any sort of pride, you should never play an FCS team.
Look, I mean, first of all, there's the economics of the sport, right? And there is the idea that these bye games are necessary for these smaller programs.
For the smaller programs, yes, but when you're a bigger program and you're pinching every dollar and you're tight on every single bit of budget, you shouldn't be giving $1.5 million or $900,000 to the Little Sisters of the Poor just to beat their brains in. Save that $900K, save that 1.5, spend it elsewhere, put a real product on the field, get everybody into your stadium.
We need
to
get healthy, but it's too hard. It's too hard to play 12 games.
You are playing an objectively tough schedule now. 9 SEC games plus your your 10 power conference teams every year, no matter what. You'll already have played 9 of them, right? Heading into where Cupcake Week normally is. To me, that's the perfect time to, okay, guys, we've gotten through a very tough stretch. No matter who it is that's actually on the schedule, you just played a lot of losable games. You're probably beaten up. It is the perfect time. Like Cupcake Week was there for a reason. It's the perfect time to bring in a school, to reset, to get any confidence you need back, to get another final look at those freshmen and some of the players who haven't played as much, which, let me remind you, is honestly even more important now in the transfer portal era, right? It's more important to get a final look. You look at Cupcake Week being moved up now, and there are going to be a lot of those reserve-type players that you don't quite get an in-game evaluation of for the final 3 months of the season now. That's another wrinkle that I kind of just thought of on the fly there. I don't like the decision to move Cupcake Week, and more significantly, I think, or just as significantly, it just feels like another case of the SEC bowing down to national pressure. And that should be something that concerns a lot of fans of the SEC, whether you're one of those SEC conference homers, which I think is kind of dumb to begin with, or whether you're just a fan of any SEC school, and whether you're a fan of the tradition and what makes the SEC special. You've already had a conference that changed the number of games it plays to appease the Big Ten. Now you look at all the people saying, oh, look at the SEC. They get to laugh at Cupcake Week every single year, like the Big Ten doesn't do the same thing, for the start of the season. But now it just feels like you're trying to avoid criticism. Avoid criticism and make some more money from ESPN, right? Which, let me also, I guess this is kind of another question, something I don't fully understand, is the money from ESPN, that's already accounted for, right? Like there's already a rights deal.
Yes.
So it's not like it's not like there's some big new influx of cash to these schools because they're playing another big money game in November, is there?
No, what the adjustment is, it's probably just going to be another conference weekend. It's going to be an open conference weekend, and you're either going to be playing conference games or you're going to be playing one of your power four, non-conference opponents. I think it's going to become a conference weekend, and Cupcake weekend will be week 1 and 2, basically week 1 and 2 to get you a soft launch into the season.
Yeah, and I guess there won't even be an official, like, quote, Cupcake week, because you can play like Alabama playing East Carolina before Florida State, right? That could obviously very easily be flipped the other way around. So I guess it's just purely however teams want to schedule it now.
Sure.
But you're not playing a non-conference game after, week 4, week 5?
I think that's what the anticipation should be. Now, some of those last rivalry weekends are non-conference games, Kentucky, yes, Louisville, but largely that's the way I understood it, is that the non-conference games will be moved to the very front of the schedule.
I
agree with your point, what you just said. I like moving non-conference. I hope this is a step to get rid of all FCS opponents on SEC schedules. But your point to say bowing to pressure is exactly right. And Greg Sankey, this is kind of against what I thought. This kind of goes against what I thought of you, Greg Sankey, because I thought Greg Sankey was the type to stand in the face of pressure and to, not bow to criticism. But last year, the criticism for Cupcake Weekend was absurdly high. And I think the online noise and the narratives and the written articles have brought Greg Sankey to this decision. And so I totally agree with you. It is bowing to pressure, and that makes it a little bit of a weak look for me.
Yeah, like me and you can have a whole debate, and I know we have had this debate in the past on SEC teams playing FCS opponents. I know you're not a fan. I personally don't see a problem. And there are very valid criticisms of it. But this move doesn't seem like it was made because, oh, man, they're right. We shouldn't be playing FCS games. We want to change this. No, this purely feels like it was made as a response.
Yeah.
Purely feel like time and time again. There have been at least 5 distinct examples this year that I can point out of the SEC being told by the rest of the country to do things and then doing them. And it very clearly does not mean more. In a conference where you've changed the number of games you played because they've told you to, in a conference where you're very strongly considering not even playing a game to determine the champion of the conference anymore. It doesn't mean more. You're the same as all the other conferences. And it was funny, I was listening to Sankey, or I guess I read the ESPN recap of Sankey talking about how, yes, the SEC is still on top despite everything the Big Ten's done. So it was funny because the headline was literally like, Sankey says SEC is still top despite Big Ten dominance. That's what the Big Ten is dominating. They're dominating on the field with the national championships, and they're dominating off the field with getting you to bend the knee to them. I don't think you can sit here and say the SEC is the premier college football conference anymore, because the play on the field determines that, and the off-field dynamic absolutely points to, yes, we have to do things to appease the Big Ten, to appease the national audience. This is another step in that direction to me.
I think that's well said and well left. We'll leave it right there at that. Theo, why don't we save this conversation about Herna Juracek for tomorrow? The Arkansas athletic director was not happy with the kickoff times. They're screwing the Hogs, Theo. Chaz Coleman gets a lot of money in NIL, but has not shown up to Tennessee's football facility quite yet for summer practice or summer workouts. We can talk about the dangers of NIL and Chaz Coleman and kind of if Tennessee, all everything that goes along with that tomorrow as well. We'll have a softball game to react to, ideally an Alabama win to react to, but if there's a loss, we'll talk about the UCLA home runs, I guess, that happened tonight at 6 o'clock on ESPN. We're going to have a lot of fun the rest of the day. My day, Theo, I got to write how to watch for baseball. That's what I got to do. I got to write the show and write how to watch for baseball. Theo's going to be working some Fox Sports and World Cup coverage here pretty soon, so make sure you follow him at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show. Make sure you subscribe to the Bama Central YouTube channel. You'll be able to see all that softball coverage right there on the Bama Central YouTube channel. Those press conferences after the win or loss for both programs will be right there on that YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on the Bama Central Facebook page. You'll never miss a moment, and we will talk to you again on a Friday edition tomorrow on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central on BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.